this is what I try to teach. This is what I try to like tell people. Like, every restaurant should be busy at 7 o'clock on Saturday, but that doesn't tell you how the restaurant does. What tells you how the restaurant does is how much volume it brings in Monday through Thursday.
This episode is brought to you by Restaurant Systems Pro.
So I was actually at the grocery store buying something for the restaurant, driving by this property. I've always seen this property. It's always sit here, and it's such a beautiful property from outside. I mean, architecture just takes the heart of me away. So I saw this building. I was like, wow, this is a cool ass building. I knew who owned it. So while I was driving, I was like, let me shoot my shot. I should have texted the guy. I was like, would you ever consider selling this? I was like, yeah. I was like, give me a price. And kind of start. That's how the ball started.
I mean, I think that's really important advice right there. Is like, don't wait for things to go on sale. Just ask.
Shoot your shot.
Right? So I'm curious. What was it about this space that had it? It's beautiful. To your point, beautiful architecture, beautiful space. Why was it empty for 4 years?
So the guy who owned it, he owns a lot of properties, and he had a Mexican restaurant here. Then he switched to an Indian restaurant. Then after that, he kind of shut it down, and it just sat on the space. He never had it for sale. Every now and then, he would throw occasional like parties in here, rent it out for like private events and stuff. Not sure why he kept it. He just had it had a sentimental value for him, and he lives very close by. So when the time came, and I kind of knew the guy, so I shot him a text and was like, hey, do you want to sell this? He gave me a price. We started negotiating. He was so stuck with this location that it took me like 7 months to just write a basic contract to buy the property from him. But to your point, don't ever wait for things to go on sale. Like, every one of the restaurant locations I've found was through relationship. Like, this was I knew the person who wanted it. The original Delbar location, I never in my dream thought I could have scored a location like that one. It happened through relationship.
Right.
I knew the person who was operating it before, and I was like, hey, if you ever want to get out of lease, I can help you.
Be someone's
out.
exit strategy. So many people get into this industry and go, what did I do? I just want a way out. Be the way out.
Correct. Same thing with our current bucket location that we're working on that's going to open in 3 weeks. In 3 months, sorry. Not 3 weeks. 3 weeks, you would not be sitting right here.
Sorry, Eric, it's not going to work.
Yeah, in 3 months. So our original bucket location was a different spacing bucket, a corner of Irby Avenue and Roswell Road. We were about to start construction. We were taking beds from GCs. The design was fully done. We were about to groundbreak and start construction until we found out, the building is not designed for solid fuel operation. So we cook everything on charcoal.
Shout out to Demont Grills.
Yes, we cook everything on charcoal. And when they built the building originally, they built it as a retail underneath. Then they changed their mind and want to put the restaurant on it, not knowing that we're not just every kind of restaurant. For us to have a restaurant, our exhaust system needs to go all the way to the roof of the building, which is 23 stories high, which will cost me and the landlord around $2 million to run.
Just for a hood system.
So it was a mutual agreement to cancel the lease, which worked out perfectly for us.
So I bet that's the first thing you're looking for now when you go to a place.
Correct. Now the first thing we do is like, all right, let's see if they can handle the exhaust system we need, right? There's so much you learn throughout this process, because the first 2 of them I did it without anybody. I didn't have a GC or architect. Nobody. I kind of learned from my mistakes. Right. And that's been a story of my life. I've always learned everything from my mistakes.
Isn't that like you got like employee of the month, and like the speech was, here is Fars Kargar, and he is a perfect example of learning from all of his mistakes.
Yep. That's basically, I've done every mistake in a book. And I think it's always the best way to learn things. So after that,
I want to share something real quick before you keep going.
Go ahead.
I heard a quote on a song once, or recently. I think it was like Connor, like that new young guy who's a Connor. I don't know. He's a rapper. He said, "I don't make mistakes. Mistakes make me."
Yeah, that's basically it. Yeah, I'm made out of mistakes.
Anyway, I apologize for interrupting.
Yeah, mistakes to me are like experiences. Like, that's how you learn things.
So you're talking about the hood system.
So we're talking about a hood system. So our bucket list got canceled, which actually worked perfect. At the same time, there was a rumor of a very, very great location in Bucket not renewing their lease. And I had to figure out a way to get in there. The space wasn't in the market yet. Right? This is the current Delbar Bucket location that we're working on. Turnkey The building was this again. Same thing happened as Alfreda. We took over a space thinking, it was a restaurant before. We can just fix it up. They were using solid fuel, so it shouldn't be any issues. Then we started getting into it, and it was like, the building's from 1980. There's so much to fix.
Yeah.
So you started becoming more and more of a bigger project than what I thought.
I'm smiling because I'm like 1980 is not that long ago, but then I just realized that like I'm getting old, and that's almost 40 years ago. I was like, God damn.
Yeah, it's like 45 years ago. Or like plumbing systems from 45 years ago. Everything needs to be. Yeah.
Damn it.
And the space is such a jewel in Bucket that the landlords weren't giving it away.
Yeah.
They were like, we have different spaces that are available within our shopping center. We're keeping this one for last resort because everyone wanted that one because already a restaurant. So I had to figure out a lot of back ways of getting to know these people. And they were mad at me at the time because, scrolling back. Before I signed my Bucket location, I was negotiating 2 locations at the same time in Bucket. One was with the same group that I'm with now within the same complex. So we were looking at leases, looking at the sales and all these things, like how much they want, rent, blah, blah, blah. Then one space, the one that ended up not happening, gave me such a good deal. And I was like, okay, I have to take this one.
Okay.
Because they're just giving me such a good deal on TI and rent and all that stuff. And the location is just as good. I'm like, okay, let me
Were
go
you
for that
negotiating TI? And that's tenant
Correct. Yeah. Tenant improvement.
for people to learn.
Yeah, we were negotiating TI, percentage rent, regular rent, all that
Any
stuff.
advice on negotiating TI?
What's
Any
that?
advice on negotiating TI?
Oh, you always negotiate as much as you can.
So, like, how do you approach that? Is you just put everything on the table and see what they take off, and
Yeah,
okay.
you shoot for the sky and see what they come down to.
What are the
right?
obvious ones that we should shoot for?
Like for us negotiating TI, like we wanted around over $200 per square foot
Okay.
coming from landlord to build the restaurant.
So, is that typically the language you use by square foot to negotiate?
By square foot, yeah. Everything in restaurant is usually by square foot. Like even when we talk about sales of a restaurant, nobody talks about overall sales. They talk about by square foot. They make that much.
Okay. So, what's normal? Like, are there any points of reference in terms of
TI could go anywhere from $70 a square foot to like $300 a square foot,
Okay.
depending on where you are, who you're working with, what kind of concept you're building. If it's a first generation space, because the space in the first generation is just a shell, it's just a concrete box. They have to create everything.
So, do you just show up and say, "I want 300, square space, TI"?
So Delbar had such a good reputation that landlords were coming after
Okay.
us and offering us. So we're like, okay, you want me so badly in your space, this is how much it will
Yeah.
cost you, right? And the one that got canceled was they were giving us very good money, but it ended up canceling. But during the process of picking that location versus the other one, I pissed off the previous ones, right? We were so almost done with the negotiation, but we ended up picking the other property. So they didn't want to give me a second chance.
Yes.
So when the time came, another space in their property was able to lease, they didn't even want to talk to me.
Yeah, one of the things that you pointed out in our first conversation is the importance of relationships. And it's not
Correct.
just with guests. It's not
Correct.
just with.
everything.
It's not just the
Yeah.
people that work under the same roof
Yeah.
as you. It's everybody your business touches.
Correct. Now, this is one of the things that I'm trying to teach my staff these days and my employees is you're ambassador of this restaurant, whether you know it or
Yeah.
not. If people see you in the restaurant, they make a connection with you in the restaurant. And the better experience you provide, the better your restaurant gives them that wow experience, the more relationship they want with you. So outside this brand, you might just be a student going to school or having a hobby, but within these walls and even outside, you're still ambassador of this restaurant. And that will open so many doors for you, right? That's how every door is open. It's all about these relationships, like how you built it. We don't look at, this is what I try to teach my servers. Don't look at serving job as a serving job. You're not serving. For you, this might be, you're trying to put food on the table, right? Pay your rent, trying to get through school. But to me, this is the best networking event you'll ever have. The best networking opportunity you'll ever have. People pay so much to be in this kind of space in front of a clientele that you're dealing with to network with them.
Here's your
For
opportunity
doors to open up
to
with them.
be somebody's favorite person.
Correct.
The people that
This
are
is
coming
your-
into this place are good people to get on the good side of.
to know. Yeah. Your next boss is sitting on your table.
next
Your next
investor,
partner
yeah.
is sitting on your table.
100%.
Yeah, your next investor is
Yeah.
sitting on your table. So the moment they understand that, they take the job to a different level. They take it a lot more serious. And they understand it's just not about, you're not here to fill out a time and get a paycheck. You're here to make as many connections
Yeah.
as you can.
I'm going to push back, and I'm going to say you are still a server, but the best
I
way to
am.
win people is to serve them.
Correct.
To serve them in the physical way that we associate with the job, but also to serve their soul, to serve them
Correct.
in being present, to serve them
Yeah.
in being somebody that lifts them up every day. We are in the service industry, and we serve.
Everybody's
Yeah.
in service industry.
And
Yeah.
that's our purpose as humans, is to serve other humans. We go further together. We're here to take care of each other. Be of service and be proud that you're of service.
Exactly. It's like whether it's your kids, mom, dad, significant other, you're always serving somebody. Doesn't matter what business
That's
you're
what
in.
makes us human. That's what we do.
Yeah. And when it comes to business, like the business only exists because there is a service that needs to be done.
Yeah.
There's a service that needs to be provided. And whatever that you figure out, whether it's landscaping, I don't know, washing cars, running a restaurant,
Yeah.
doing a podcast, you're filling up a service. So going back to that, I realized I've screwed up on a relationship. And it was biting me in the ass. So I ended up figuring out a way. And I had clients, like guests coming up to me. It's like, hey, have you heard this restaurant not renewing their list? Hey, have you heard this is not renewing? This would be a great bucket location for this would be this and that. So I realized I had to pull some strings and figure out how I can get back on that table.
How'd you do it?
Took a lot of phone calls.
Yeah.
Took a lot of emails.
What'd you say?
A lot of
to
give
win
me
them
another
back?
chance.
What'd you say? How'd you do? Like how did you repair that relationship?
So I looked for anybody who knew anybody in that company. Like all my clientele, like in a business you have a network around you, right? My best network is my employees and my guests. My guests are my biggest network. Just like I said, it's like we're not serving them, we're getting to know them. And that's where the value comes in. That's the value of getting to know your guest comes in. So I found out a lot of guests that had relationship with that company. They were like, I can get you a second chance. I can get you an email to reintroduce you again. Right?
Did you like what? I mean, it's a second chance. It's getting in front of them again. But what did you do? What was the first thing you said to these people when you started talking to them? Is it?
So we're sorry.
So you basically acknowledged that you were wrong.
Correct. Yeah. We acknowledged that we were wrong. We acknowledged that there was confusion, that we were so close to signing a lease, but we had to take the other space. I basically explained to them, hey, look, they were offering us such a good deal I couldn't say no to. So I had to take it. And if you give me your space, I can bring so much more foot traffic and revenue for you. And that's kind of how it basically happened.
How's that relationship today?
It's beautiful.
Glad to hear that.
It's beautiful. And it's going to be one of our best locations, I think. Is putting us on a much bigger scale because the brands that we're going to be part of, they're just such a much higher caliber.
So let's bring it back to Delbar number 2. We kind of got derailed with Delbar number 3, but I'm happy to get all that information. You opened May, almost a year ago. We're a month away from being a year old. Almost happy birthday time. You said that some of the thought was you're going to come in, you're going to put fresh paint on, do the floors, but then you started pulling things up and you started realizing maybe there's some mold over here. We got to do some new plumbing.
Yeah, we started realizing building was neglected
Yeah.
for such a long time that it was going to cost us a lot more to repair it. And we at the point we had already put all of our money down toward purchasing the property. So it was a very struggling opening for us. It was the first time that was like, financial stress is one of the biggest stress to me, in my opinion. And this was probably my hardest restaurant opening.
Mm-hmm. So how does that work? I mean, you have a silent partner, and I don't need you to air their laundry out. But I'm assuming they put the money up to buy the property, right?
Correct. Yeah.
How do you work that out with them? Do they like give you a budget of like I'm gonna cover the cost. Here's what I can and willing to give you to build out. Like how does that work?
So the way me and my silent partner works, he's very silent. I make all decisions for the business. No, it's amazing. Yeah. He trusts me and he just stays out of my way. I'll just basically tell him where to sign, right? And ever since we started Delbar, our goal was to grow. Our goal was to grow as an organization. So we put everything we made back into the business. We kind of built it, keep going and building it. So we're like, you need to buy the property. And buying property is always a great decision. Yeah. Nobody would ever tell you not to buy the property.
If you can buy property, buy property.
Buy the property, correct. So the goal was to buy the property, so we just kind of put everything we had into this new location.
Got it. So when you started realizing that it was going to be more expensive, I mean, are you willing to share what had to be done? Like, what was your projected cost, and what was your reality?
So my projected cost versus my reality was, I'm gonna tell you, the reality was 6-7 times more expensive than my projected cost.
Damn, I'm sorry, dude.
Yeah. And I'm one of those people that I like to get my hands dirty. I get involved. And my staff always tells me, you have a very expensive taste. I realized how expensive a taste I had.
Well, I mean, it
Then it
shows,
came to this.
dude, this place is so gorgeous.
Yeah.
And, like, I am going to B-roll the shit out of this place because I walked in, I was like, oh, I cannot wait to get the camera out. It's gorgeous. You have a
beautiful
moat, for
space.
God's sakes.
Yeah, it's a beautiful space. It's a beautiful space. And I spent a lot more money than I thought I was going to do on it. But we made it happen. It was a struggle to get it open because when you spend that much money, you have to get it open. Like, you're putting yourself in this time crunch. Like, I have a financial obligation to get this.
What was
thing
your
open.
biggest struggle?
My biggest struggle was actually opening the space.
So, like, deadlines?
Because of the financial strength, I didn't do the things that I had to do to make sure I succeed in this
Because
space.
of the financial what?
Financial struggle.
You didn't do what you had to do.
Correct. So let's say you want to open a restaurant, right? A lot of times there are a lot of things you could take into account, like how much it would cost to renovate, furniture, equipment. Then the big aspect of it a lot of times that when you're starting in this business that you overlook.
Yeah, the things you just don't know until you know.
Things that you don't know how much working capital you're going to need. You don't know how much money you need to put aside to hire people, to train people for weeks and months until you have the right product to open the door with. Right, that's the part that I kind of neglected, and I struggled from it, and I learned from it.
Yeah. So when did you want to be open?
Well, the time they wanted to open was entirely different from the time we actually opened. This was supposed to open before Bibi, but we got into like permitting issues. We realized we need to do a lot more with the building. It wasn't going to be that easy. So we kind of delayed it until May of 2023.
Okay. What was the tipping point for you in terms of getting open? And like you said, eventually you opened. So there was a struggle with the training and all this stuff. But like, when did things start to like traction
get better? Yeah. Probably like 4 or 5 months after opening.
Okay.
4 or 5 months after opening, we started getting, and this is a different market. So let's say, underestimated how hard it was going to be for me to find staff in this market.
Yeah, and that was one of the things I was curious about, was staffing. When you're in the city,
busyness volume,
you got people all around you. You got lots of young people who want to live in the city, and they're looking for their special person, and everybody is out and about, and it's just active. It's lively,
Correct. And we were in such a busy neighborhood that we underestimated, like, the foot traffic not going to be the same. Like, people in suburbs are different.
More
they
families.
More families. They don't go dine around Monday through Friday as much, or Monday through Thursday as much. Most of their dining happens on the weekend. So a lot of those things,
business events, probably.
Correct. Yeah. Staffing, we realized how difficult it was because most of the experienced servers were in the city.
So how are you overcoming these challenges? I mean, there's so many we just dropped, right? So you can't do much about physical location, but I think the one thing you can do is, how do you attract people?
How do you attract people? Like, quality. Like, you remember how we talked about Delbar was created from creating experience. Like, this location needs to be experienced from the moment you pull up to this parking lot.
Check that box, brother.
Yeah. So that was a part of it, right? From like the dining experience. We're like, okay, the talent we can get over here is a lot more raw than the talent we can get in the city.
What do you mean by
that? We just
that?
need to invest so much more in training.
Okay, so they're blank canvas.
Correct. Blank canvas, and we have to teach them everything about wine, booze, and alcohol, and service. And it's going to be a lot tougher. They don't understand, and they're younger crowds, so they look at this as like a stepstone, like we talked about. They look at this as like, oh, this is just a job for me. I'm just making a paycheck. So you have to open their eyes and make them understand, no, this is more than that. If you want it to be, you have every choice to make this much bigger. You have every choice to make this as your last stepping stone before you get a partner, before you have an investor, before you have the next job like that.
There's that air about the industry stigma that it's just for now. And I think that part
just
of
for
what
now,
we
yeah.
have to do to transform the industry is
Correct.
to be an opportunity for people. But
Correct.
in everybody's defense, there wasn't always a lot of opportunity in the restaurant industry. There has been, but I think we're getting better about sharing the pie. You know what I'm saying? And
Yep.
creating opportunity for people.
Correct.
For you, a big part of why you left your last job was because there was an opportunity.
There was no
You were
opportunity.
busting your fucking ass,
Yeah.
but you weren't getting a piece of the pie. And you
Correct.
can't expect people to treat it like they own it if they don't own it. Literally just had
Correct.
Southern Teague on the show, and he said, nobody will ever treat my business the way I treat it because it's my business.
Correct.
I own
Correct.
it. If I can get 70% out of somebody to show up 70% of how I show up, I'm doing something special.
Correct.
If you want somebody to treat it like they own it, I mean, you're paying
have
them
to
one
own
way
it.
or another. You
Yeah.
know, like if they have stake in the business, they're going to treat it
Yeah.
differently. This is a
Correct.
controversial subject. Where do you fall on it?
I'll fall on the exact same
Yeah.
way. That's kind of a reason I left the previous job that we talked
Right.
about. It's kind of the reason I joined Waffle House because I knew I could be stock owner in the
Right.
business, right? And it's kind of a route I want to take Delbar with us. So right now we do that aspect with our bonus program. Basically,
Yeah.
we have a tremendous bonus structure, and if you can tap into it, you can make so much more. And you basically feel the fruit of your labor. The busier your restaurant, the better
Yeah.
you succeed. The more retention you have, the more you make.
So you have a bonus program. You're willing to work with people to develop them. You're
Correct.
helping them understand that there's an opportunity here if you give us
Correct.
your time and energy.
Yeah.
What else?
We help them understand I'm here to make them bonus. I'm here to help them whatever they need to figure out to get them there so they can make the money that they're just feeling very successful
Mhm.
with, right? Because for everybody, it's just different.
Yep.
Like some people, everyone needs is different. One is understanding people need. The other one understanding that you need to give something back in
Mhm.
return. If you're expecting, like, you can't expect people to be owner of your
Right.
business when you pay them minimum wage.
Right.
It's just never gonna
Right.
work. It's just not. It just doesn't make any
That
sense.
is changing about our industry, and I'm happy to say when I
Correct.
started this podcast over 10 years ago, I think that was one of the things that, like, there were very few people at the top of the pyramid. And you're
Correct.
starting to see
Yeah.
a flattening of the hierarchy.
I think it's this industry, and also I feel like the idea of business in general is still like that.
Yeah, it was a mystery to most people.
Yeah, mystery
Even
to most
it's-
people. Everybody's just a number
was,
to
yeah,
a bigger business.
It was. I hate to use this word because I feel like it's an overplayed word, but it was systemic.
Correct.
From the day that we go to school, we're being
Yeah.
conditioned to be an employee.
We're trained to be a worker.
The school system
That's
was built by, at least the American school system was built to crank out employees.
Correct.
And
Exactly.
Like
Like you go to school, you don't learn how to start a
No,
business. Nobody ever
you're
teaches you
you're
that.
being conditioned to be a cog in a wheel.
Correct.
You're learning how to
Yeah.
do one thing really well.
Yeah.
And I think that has to change.
Correct.
What do you want to talk about?
I don't know. I feel like you're going the right direction.
Okay. So like here, like at this,
You want to talk about the philosophy of this industry?
well, I think that's, really the format of the show is who are you? How did you get to where you are today? Where are you today, and where are you going? I want to unpackage a little bit more of the where you are today. I'm curious about the community, this space, like we mentioned, 300 plus seats, beautiful location. I would be worried, honestly. I'd be worried if you were renting this space because I would imagine the rent at a facility like this. What would you say a rent would be?
very
What would you
high.
guess?
Rent on a space like this would be anywhere from 30 to 40K a month.
Yeah, right.
Correct.
So I think the fact that you own it is so smart because it gives you that
Yeah.
time to develop
Correct.
the brand, and you're not like you know the person who owns it. You.
Yeah. If I didn't own it,
Yeah.
there was no way I would take a space this
Right.
big. There was no freaking way.
Are you
Because it just doesn't make sense on
right?
paper.
And we had Doug Turbish on the show, the owner of Seed Kitchen and Bar, I believe is the full name.
Yeah.
In STEM Wine Bar. He also had Drift,
Drift.
which
Yeah.
was open for I think 8 years.
Yeah, it was open for a long
Yeah,
time.
high quality, high standards, beautiful restaurant. They had to close a couple months ago,
Yeah.
and they just couldn't get the demographic to buy in 7 days a week. On the weekends, gangbusters. Is that a fear of yours here?
Oh yeah, it always is.
How does that make? Bring me
This
to
is
that
what I
fear.
try to. This is what I try to teach. This is what I try to tell people. Like every restaurant should be busy at 7 o'clock on a Saturday. But that doesn't tell you how the restaurant does. What tells you how the restaurant does is how much volume it brings in Monday through Thursday.
How's it doing?
Because everybody goes out. It's doing pretty
Yeah.
good. It's doing much, but it's not doing as good as I thought it was going to do. But my expectations were way too high. My expectations were city expectations. But comparing to the market, it does great.
Okay.
It does amazing. It's harder. It's more of a struggle for me over here to brand and to market. This market, I feel like, is slightly different. In the city, my source of marketing is all digital, right? Instagram, social, Facebook. Guest that comes in, word of mouth. In this market, I feel like word of mouth does the best marketing.
I still
Because you're dealing with more older people that don't spend as much time on social media to come across your brand, right? And we kind of went against our trajectory. Our trajectory was to work from Midtown to Bucket to Alpharetta. So everywhere you go, I feel like you're creating a radius of awareness around you, right? If I would have gone the same way that I was supposed to go, this would have been a busiest location than what it is right now. Versus
centrifugal
the exact
circles,
opposite.
basically. You want to start, and I love that approach. And sometimes I see people, they're like, oh, this concept is killing in Atlanta. Let's go to Charleston. Let's go to Asheville. Let's go to Charlotte, But you have no brand recognition.
Correct.
So if you can dominate a market,
Yeah.
and you can get to the point for
Dominate
like 10 years where you do that centrifugal circles, and you just like everywhere you go, like, oh, there's a new Delbar going here. Oh God, have you been to the one in Atlanta, the original? It's so good. And make that energy, that buzz. So people go into the city to experience it because they heard about it and it was so good. And now there's one coming closer to us. Yes.
Correct. So now my goal is slightly different. So I was thinking the same way. I was like, oh, we're doing so good. Let's go to DC. Let's go to New York. Let's go to this. Then I'm like, no, why?
Right.
I live in Atlanta.
Right.
I have a network in Atlanta. I have power in Atlanta. I have brand recognition.
Do you want to get on a plane every day?
Correct.
No, you.
Yeah, I'm like,
I'll answer
no.
the question for you. No, you do
No.
not.
I hate traveling. Actually. I'm like, okay, there's other things I can do. Like I started studying like a lot of restaurant groups that have more than one concept. I'm like, yes, I can make one concept fantastic and grow it and scale it and figure out from there what my exit strategy is. Or I can make Atlanta my ecosystem. I can create BBs around Delbars. So when you don't want to go dine out, you want that fast casual bite, you can get your $15, $20 sandwich and be satisfied.
Yeah.
Now I'm working on the different concept, which is Eden, which is like a nighttime aspect of it. I'm like, okay, I want to create something similar to Delbar, which is more not just the dinner experience, it's dinner and a show, dinner and a party. So we're working on a different concept called Eden that's going to open March of next year. This will be your super club, like your super club that you dine, enjoy, and the restaurant turns into a club at night.
Okay. I love it, man. One more thing I just want to add on to the idea of centrifugal scale centrifugal circle scaling. So like if you're trying to visualize, like, what do you mean? So you have a circle in the middle is the bullseye. That's your first location. Go out 15, 20 miles, make a circle around that one. And you just kind of, and then this is your market. Once you have one north, once you have one south, once you have one east, once you have one west, you go out another ring. Right. And you just keep on going out and out and out. The other really beneficial thing about this is, we talked about this before, opportunity for growth.
Yeah.
When your business becomes a tool, it's really you're just cranking out professionals. So they're going through the university, and as they're graduating the program, people and cash flow determine growth, right? So like
you want to become the institution.
So how do you know when to open the next one? Well, we have people that have hit a wall here, and if we don't give them an opportunity to buy in or whatever, they're gonna pull a farce and go do their own thing.
Correct. Exactly.
So you literally become a machine to crank out professionals and create opportunity. But when it's close, now you don't have to ask somebody to move to a different city. And that's one of the challenges when you start going to other cities too, is like my whole,
finding a proper
not just
talent.
my clientele, but my whole community of professionals is here. You're gonna make people move with their families to like a new city, Yeah.
It has its own struggles. Yeah. Like, doesn't mean it's going to be bad. You should go out of a state.
There are people who want to do that.
Yeah, to me, the struggle is what builds you and makes you stronger. This is what I was literally talking about to my team the other day. It was like, if you don't have problems, we're not getting better. We have to have problems. Problems means we're getting better, right? One of my good mentors always told me, it's like, if you're not getting outstanding reviews, that means you're just doing mediocre job. So you're not getting any better, right? To me, like, problem makes me stronger. I'll learn from them. I get better at them, and I know what to do next. So it's like, and this is also the thing after 21 ever works in this industry. Nobody's ever, don't take it personal. Don't think people don't want you to succeed. If you work for an organization wants you to succeed. Because the faster you succeed, the better you become, the better they can grow. And you come up with them, right? You come up as an organization, grow within the organization, do everything that you can to be there. Go above and beyond. Don't put in just the bare minimum. Ask, hey, the best people who have grown in my organization are the ones that ask every day, what can I do to be better? What can I do to help you? And that's how they grow next to it.
I love it.
Just like you said, it's like, there's no way for me to open another restaurant unless I have people that have grown to the level to go and open.
Right. I mean, I'm dealing with this right now. Like, I feel like Restaurant Unstoppable is getting to this point where it's like I think I'm good at.
You need a protege.
Well, I mean, I can only be good at so many things, and
Correct.
I think that, and this is where I hate saying publicly what I think I'm good at, but I think I'm good at getting people to get vulnerable and open up, and so like I have good purpose. My mission's solid. You know, like I'm a well-intended individual, and I mean to do the right thing. I think that translates to people, and I think I can get people to get more vulnerable than usual. So the podcast, the content is good, but where I'm not good is at promoting myself. You know what I'm saying? Where I'm not good at, like, I'm good at creating the content, but like I'm not good about being on social media and letting people who haven't discovered it know how good it is. You know, so if you're listening to this and you want an opportunity, like, I am looking to find that person, that rocket fuel to take this to the next way, and I'm trying to be better about echoing that. I do want to talk about your space here. I mean, 4.6 star review for your location here. I think that's a little bit lower than you wanted in the city. You're at 4.7 or something like that.
I'm 4.8, 4.9 in the city. Yeah.
So, but I mean, still 4.6 is pretty freaking good, man.
It's pretty good, like, but it's lower than I like it to be.
So I'm sure that's bothering you. But in terms of like creating experience and what you do really well, I mean, the food, phenomenal. The physical space, gorgeous. You're being transported to Iran when you come here. Iran, sorry. I'm always Iranian, Iran. It's confusing sometimes. What are you doing to create that experience for the guests beyond like the physical, like appearance and the delicious food?
Kind of everything needs to be, right? For me, when I look at the creating experiences, like everything that guest touches, feels, and sees needs to feel like they've been transported. Whether from the moment you walk in, you walk through those ponds, right? You hear the sound of the water. You walk through the flowers. The valet service, from the moment they walk you up, they're going to ask your name. They're going to shake their hand. They're going to tell you their name. Like, they all want to create that relationship. Yeah. It's like all of it comes together. It's not one piece of a puzzle. It's all like one big assembly of people working together to bring that experience for you. Whether it's that napkin you touch, the glass you touch, the cocktail that comes to your table, the platesware, the glassware, your bathroom experience. What kind of bathroom are you walking into, right? What faucet are you watching? What door handle are you watching? Everything you see and feel needs to give you that. The music.
Have we broke for a sponsor for a second time? Okay,
no.
Let's do that right now. We're going to come right back and we'll get further into that. We have to interrupt today's episode to let you know that every second and fourth Thursday of the month at 1 p.m. Pacific, 4 p.m. Eastern, Restaurant Systems Pro CEO Fred Langley is going live to teach you everything you need to know to run a profitable restaurant from soup to nuts. All you got to do is click the link below. We're back. You're just diving into the experience that we're making. One thing that I want to talk about in terms of experience is, this was a huge lesson I got from. I always say this wrong. It's a kalaya. I'm sorry, I'm saying it wrong. If the folks in Philadelphia are hearing this episode, I apologize. Defined Hospitality Group. It's Kalaya, but it's like it's Thai, and like the way that the women sit.
Oh.
Yeah. Dude, how would you say that?
Kalaya?
I don't. Kalaya is how she says it.
Oh, okay.
It's always sounds so much better. But anyway, the lesson I learned there Chef Nook, is that Thai food, and I feel like Iranian food is very similar to this, is meant to be eaten a certain way. So when a Caucasian or a European person comes in there, or Chinese or whatever, and this plate gets put in front of them, they're like, "What do I do?"
100%, and that's what brings us to the BB concept. It's like, right, well, like it has to be eaten a certain way for you to experience it fully.
But in fast casual, it's hard.
It's
'Cause
incredible.
you don't have the opportunity to educate.
Correct.
But here,
Yeah.
what do you like? What opportunities are you leveraging to really create like a table side experience? Like, does your staff like? Do they so here's my
staff doesn't touch your
Okay.
food, but my staff tells you exactly how to eat
okay.
it.
So here, I was just curious, like my experience at Kalaya. So what happened was I sat down. It was a prong meal with rice and all this stuff, and the prong, everything was whole, and they actually at table side broke down the prong, chopped it up, mixed it together, took all the elements because you have like some spices over here, some sauce over there, and like literally like put the show on.
That's awesome.
And I was like, holy shit, this is a whole experience. But I would have ordered that. I would have taken a bite of the hot sauce, blown my face off, right, and then like had some rice to put it out, and until you see it be done, it's almost like this opportunity to like educate and show, and like I would have never. But I mean, am I overextending here?
No, you're exactly right. So there's a lot. Persian cuisine is kind of like that. Everything has a meaning that is around you. Like on the table, whatever you see, it's supposed to be enjoyed at that moment. If it's not supposed to be enjoyed, it should be off your table.
But it's almost like showmanship, and
correct.
Like it's I just thought that was brilliant. I was wondering if you were taking advantage of that here.
We do something similar, but we don't really do a whole on show. The way we do it is like through actual speaking to the guests. Like every time we come up and drop a dish, we tell you exactly how you should eat it. We tell you exactly what to do with that sabzi plate, the fresh herb, the cheese, the walnuts, the bread. Like I'll bring you a mushroom hummus. I'm going to tell you this is how you're going to eat it. You're going to mix up all the elements.
Yeah.
You're going to tear up that piece of bread and kind of dip it in there.
Got it.
Right? We're going to teach you we're like, okay, you want to order lamb. And so you probably know this, like everything on our menu is a la carte. Everything's separate.
It's delicious.
Yeah, so we educate you. It's like, okay, you're gonna order lamb, so this is the rice you should pair with it, and this is the sauce you should pair with it, and this is how you should eat it. Like grab the stew, pour it over your rice instead of eating the stew as a soup, right? Like all those little elements of it. Not as much interactive as you're explaining it. Slightly different way, slightly more of a backseat approach of this is how we suggest you eat it. But you're still the master of your own show.
And I think the other cool thing that they say we're exiting the experience economy, and we're heading into the transformation economy. And I think what's cool with concepts like yours, where I think this necessary transformation that society has to have, is this idea of just understanding other cultures better.
Yep.
And I think that you have the opportunity to transform the majority consumer in America. To understand and empathize in, there's a lot of hate in the world, and you have the opportunity to give a view into a culture that's not fully understood or maybe even hated, So
no, it is, in some parts of the world.
So I mean, I hope that's not like a disrespectful thing to say.
No. Like that's how it is. So this is how it is. Like the best way to put it is like, wherever in the world you're from, chances are your government might be doing something that you don't like, something your people don't approve of, and that becomes the news, right? People eat that, and that's the only thing they understand about you. Yeah, like first time coming to this country, right? I was going to high school here, and my classmates were asking me, "Oh, do you guys have cars in Iran, or do you ride camels?" So that kind of gives you an idea of like how much people are oblivious and ignorance of what goes on around them, and that's the opportunity we have here. We have the opportunity to improve their culture and make them understand our culture. Like about a week right now, we're in the Persian New Year time. Our first day of spring is our Persian New Year. We call it Nowruz. So as you walk in through a restaurant, you see a half-seen table, which symbolizes Persian New Year. Every element on that table symbolizes something you want in the New Year. Whether it's better health, or more financial freedom, or spiritual wisdom, or like all those little things. Like every element presents something. So this is kind of things that we experience. We educate our staff in to educate our guests with it, like through social media, through email posts, and there's a specific dish that you need to have the first day of Persian New
Right.
Year. You need to start your Persian New Year with what we call sabzi pulamahi, which is herb rice and some sort of fish format. Is sometimes fried, sometimes grilled, and eating that dish, it brings up to it's a green dish, so it brings up to the new year and freedom, and has different meanings associated with it. So all those things is like helps us educate our guests to understand what you see in the headline of news doesn't mean anything. That's just what news wants to. You
Well,
see,
yeah, and let's be honest, the news is controlled by people
Correct.
with a lot of
Yeah.
money who want to control the narrative. They want to
Correct.
get a whole nation behind. I mean, I'm not saying what's happening in Iran. Is it Iran?
Anywhere, Iran,
Okay,
yeah.
thank you, Iran. Thank you very much.
You're good.
Feel free, I am also ignorant, so feel free to correct
Yeah.
me. I'm not saying what's happening in Iran is in terms of the suppression of people and their free will to freedom of religion, freedom of
Correct.
whatever. Like, not
Yeah.
supporting that. But at the same time, what's happening with the Iranian government isn't representative of everybody,
Correct.
which is why
Yeah.
you're here.
Yeah, just like every other country, like there are a lot of things your government does that you don't approve
Right.
of, and you have no power of changing.
And there's a
them 'cause
beautiful,
it's just not how it
beautiful
works.
culture. I mean, you're
Yeah.
a representation of how beautiful the culture is. And I
Yeah.
would have never known about this if I didn't sit down
Correct.
at Delbar.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
I think that's the biggest chance we have. Our restaurants give us a podium.
You have transformed
us-
me, my friend.
Correct. Yeah. It allows you to kind of educate your clientele, educate your network, educate the people around you to make them understand what your culture
Yeah.
is, where you're coming
Yeah.
from.
And we're more alike than we are different across the world.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Oh, yeah.
really important
100%.
to know.
Yeah.
Anything we haven't discussed today that you were hoping we
No, I think we did
yeah,
good.
This has been a lot of fun.
Should we keep it for next time?
Yeah. I mean, maybe we'll wait 5 years. We'll wait until you have 15 locations across the Southwest, or at least around Atlanta, if we're going to keep
Yeah.
it super central. I do want to ask, before we move on, something I'm trying to be better about: technology, tech stack.
Yeah.
They say that to exist in the future, you have to learn how to do more with less, meaning you have to lean more on automation and technology to execute with fewer resources, i.e. people.
Yeah.
What are you doing along that lines?
We rely on systems. Systems allow us to not have to focus on actually you're still focusing on every little detail, but it allows you to make sure you're succeeding, right?
What technology are you leaning on?
We use a lot of different technologies. Like communication is the biggest part of when it comes to restaurants. So we use like Teams for communication.
Microsoft Teams.
You're in the restaurant.
Microsoft
Yeah,
Teams,
Microsoft Teams. But a lot of our restaurants comes through like a point of sale system, Toast, back office, Restaurant 365, checklist, Wisetail, Jolt.
So
like all
checklist,
different
meaning, is
platforms.
that the name of the checklist you're using? Is it called a checklist?
Yeah. No, checklist we're using called Jolt, and we're transitioning to something called Wisetail, which is more of a educational platform for our restaurant, our groups. So every employee can log in, every employee can be motivated through different ways. You can educate them on exactly what you need to educate them, because there's so many things that are constantly
Yeah.
changing in our field. This kind of works at that university that we talked about. You do everything you can to become an institution.
Got it.
Whether it's through systems and grades or whatever it is.
Are you happy with Jolt?
Jolt is very glitchy.
I've
That's
heard
why I'm
some
switching
things.
to something
What are you switching
else. I'm switching to Wisetail.
to? So Wisetail also does the checklists.
Wisetail also does checklists, but it is more elaborate. It gives you more than just checklists.
Got it.
It becomes that communication platform.
Training platform
Within your
really,
group.
right?
Training, communication, it becomes kind of everything all in one.
Got it.
And the beautiful thing about it, we can organize it in a way that it still feels like Delbar brand. You walk in there, you feel like you're walking to Delbar.
Any other technology you've recently adopted that's just got you excited and you think is going to make an impact in your operation?
Nothing new like Ovation. We're still using Ovation. That's for feedback purposes.
How's that been for you using Ovation?
Oh, it's been pretty
What
cool.
do you like about it?
What I like about it is I can get the experience the guest has without being in the space, right? I can interact with their experience all the
Give
time.
me an example of how that saved your ass.
A lot. It saved me develop BB to be so much better and faster
How?
at what it is. So, like we put a sticker on every item. You scan the barcode, you can rate us. You can let us how good we did or how bad we did. And we can communicate with you on back end to save
So
you
what happens if you?
from losing you as a
So
client.
you scan the barcode.
Mhm.
It goes to a pop-up screen where there's a bunch of faces from like pissed off, angry,
Correct.
to like so
Correct.
delighted. What happens
Yeah.
if you're not like the super delighted, happy face, but like the next to that face that's like kind of happy, but like you could have done it.
So sends me as an operator a notification that, hey, this guest was not super satisfied. Figure out what's going on with him. And I can start chatting
Yeah.
with him. I can be like, hey, what did you not like? What was
So
wrong?
you're getting feedback
We get an instant
before
feedback.
they ever get online and
Before
blow
they
you
ever get
up,
online.
and you can
Correct.
pay attention to that data. And if there's consistency in the feedback, then maybe
Correct.
something has to change.
Because a lot of times you have those clientele that comes to your restaurant and has specific dishes, right? Like I'm one of those people. Like there are certain restaurants I go to, I don't look at the menu because I know exactly what I like and I order exactly what I like. And that person is a much more better critic than me or any chefs I have in the organization because they're constantly tasting that item.
I think Ovation is my favorite marketing platform out there because it's not. I think the best way to I'm all about four walls marketing. For me, it's 4 walls marketing, direct mail marketing. I think social media is a necessary evil, but if you do all the other stuff right, it takes care of itself.
Yeah.
If you want people to come back to your restaurant, then you don't need to tell them to.
Correct.
You know, and
There's one more platform. There's one platform called Sunday that I recently came across.
yes, dude, I'm so happy. They reached out to me recently to be featured on the show, and I'm kind of a dick. I'm not gonna lie because like, I don't like to promote companies that I haven't heard from people like you.
Yeah.
Who can? I'm all about word of mouth. You know.
I like Sunday in different platforms, right? Sunday has good things, bad things.
Okay.
And I'm very open book with them because I talked to the partners of Sunday.
Are they
all the
based here
time.
in Atlanta?
No, they're not based in Atlanta, but
UK, right?
one of the partners lives in Atlanta.
Okay, that's what it is.
So that's how we got in touch.
Maybe they'll
with
make
them.
some
So we
time
have
for me
him.
on Easter Sunday. Doubt
We
it.
have him at Delbar. I can connect you in
Please.
text actually with Christy. I think it works great in some aspect, but it has flaws like everything else. Sunday is a platform that, just like your QR code or scanner that you pull up a menu, you can pay your tab with. The way it works great, I think, is helps a lot with the splitting checks. Anyone in the service industry knows how much servers hate splitting checks because they lose so much time, right? When a server have to split checks for a table of 8, 12, 14, it's 20 minutes out of their time that they're going to be working on that. And that 20 minutes that every other table is getting neglected. Right? In an ideal world, you'd be like, oh, somebody else can assist with it, but that's not really how it
So
works.
you have Toast, right?
I have
Toast has
Toast.
the option to do a QR scan.
Correct.
Why not use that and buy Sunday?
I like Sunday for different ways. Sunday also, just like Ovation, allows me to control the guest feedback and see what their experience is like. Because at the end of dining experience, they can send me, they liked it, they didn't like it. And I can catch them before they leave the restaurant. Right? A lot of times you can go to a table and talk to them like, how was the experience? Most of the time they say yes, it was great, right? But there's always something that bothers them. They don't tell you in front of you.
So you're coming at them through Ovation, you're coming at them through Sunday. So all these
Correct.
points of contact to get feedback.
Yeah. To control that, to control the quality, and all that feedback goes into our quality.
So with Sunday, when you print the receipt, you bring the receipt.
So there's no receipt.
So is it just
right
around the table?
It's just at the
So like-
table. So they scan the QR code with their phone, and they can take care of payment
Whenever
on
they
their
want
phone.
to go.
Whenever they want to go.
That tab is associated with that table. It's a unique QR
Correct.
code to that table.
Yeah. And if they're with their friends, they can figure out how they want to split the bill. Split it half and half. You pay for this item, I'll pay for that item. They can leave a tip right there. And they can go.
Yeah.
They can email themselves the receipt, so you don't have that like back office of, hey, somebody calling asking for a receipt.
Is there a reservation
already
in this
exists.
space right now?
No, you're good.
I'm just making sure. I keep getting worried. People coming up.
No,
Sorry to
you're
interrupt.
good. And they leave you instant feedback, right? And they can leave you instant feedback. And we have in our iPads at the host stand at the front desk of the restaurant, we have Sunday pulled up so we can see every feedback coming in. So if I see a bad feedback, I can catch the guests before they leave the restaurant.
In terms of the QR code and how it's different, so I know Toast is on the receipt. So you still have to wait for them to drop the receipt off before you can go. So the other benefit, it sounds like, you can.
It's quicker.
Yeah,
You can get out.
If they have a movie they're trying to catch,
Correct.
deuces, I'm out of here.
Deuces.
Yeah.
And you don't have to wait for a server to bring the receipt.
Is that a Miguel?
That's
Miguel, get in here.
Get in here, Miguel. You're back, man?
We were just talking about you earlier, man. Bring it in. Don't be shy. You know I'm casual here.
How are you, man? Doing
We were
good?
just talking about Sunday. So Miguel from my from Real Tacos, business partners with Damien Oterio, had him on. Where'd you go? Behind me. Actually, that's a perfect spot for you because you're on camera. We're just talking about Sunday. And I was going to ask you, in terms of the user experience beyond just being able to scan and go, is it easier to break up the check too?
It's much easier to break up a check. It saves them around 15, 20 minutes of time in a restaurant, asking for a check, server getting a card, coming back. And a lot of people don't like to give their cards out, right? Because for fraud purpose and all that. So you're not leaving your card. It's synced up to your Apple Pay. You can pay instantly in a matter of a second. The only downside is a small fee associated with it that could, if you're not upfront about it, if the staff is not telling you upfront that there is a fee associated with it,
is it a
people
percentage?
get pissed off. It's like 1%.
Okay. So
1 to 2%.
So is that like, can you put like signage like this is a 1% fee?
Correct. Yeah. So that part of it needs to be communicated. That's the only part that could result in like negative feedback and negative experience. But everything else, I think it works perfectly. Awesome. It speeds up the process.
Fars, man, thank you so much. We got to wrap it up. I'm getting greedy with your time now. I'm just loving the
No,
conversation.
you're good, man.
I'm just loving
You're
the
good.
conversation. We got a wedding to get to. So before we say goodbye, how can we connect? What's the best way to connect with you?
You can connect with me through email. I think you have my email. Forrest@nushijongroup.com or forrest@delbaratl.com. Social handles. Forrest Kargar, or how's the Instagram? What is my Instagram handle? That is very good.
I can tell you.
Well, Delbar ATL page is where I answer every one of your questions if you ever need to get in touch. And my personal handle on Instagram is Forrest Kargar. My first and my last name together.
SKARGAR. And who do you respect and admire? This is my North Star.
Ooh.
Who's killing it right now? Who's making money? Who's got the culture? They're taking care of their people. They're going places. Who do I need to get on the show?
I mean, this guy right behind me, but you already got him on the show. They're freaking killing it.
And this guy is Miguel Hernandez with Real Tacos, for the record.
Yeah, they're doing an amazing job in the city. Couple of people inspire a lot. There's one of my friends called Nico.
With and that's with Buckhead Life. Or
No, not that
Different
Nico. Well, that Nico has been killing it for years. That's the pioneer in the city. That's a different Nico. But this Nico is one of a good friend of mine. He owns Boulevard Coffee, Cuban cafe restaurant, and recently opened Polanco.
Okay, Nico, look, I'm coming after you maybe on the next trip. And I know why I love Miguel, because he reminds me that I need to be better about social media. He's over here walking around, snapping shots, and I'm like, I didn't even do that with my own business. And, I'm doing something about it right now. So a little social media. Now's when I say, Fars, my man, there is no questioning. You are unstoppable.
Thanks,
Cheers.
sir.